Once upon a time when I was a little youth, all the way back in middle school, when my mom used to hide our PS2 and Xbox in the safe, she thought that in some way we were addicted to video games. But how can somebody be addicted to video games if they have so little access to it on a regular basis? I can tell you, sure, that I loved video games. I loved playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I loved playing Skyrim when, at the time, my brother still owned that Xbox 360. I loved playing video games for as little as I was allowed to play them by my parents. But as I've gotten older, it's kind of gone both ways in the concept of whether or not video games are actually addictive. To me, at least now that I have a job and, I don't have homework that I need to concentrate on, video games are just a way for me to wind down and, keep my mind off of things from work. And yeah, of course they're fun, and of course they're designed to, stimulate your brain and be entertaining and be something that you consistently spend your money on, depending on what kind of games that you actually play. But for the most part, they're nothing more than that. In fact, I'm finding recently that I'm valuing a whole lot more the time that I spend outside doing physical things, basking in the sun, going on walks, and other things like that. I would say that I value the time that I spend doing, I guess, quote unquote, productive things as much, if not more, than the time that I spend doing things that are supposed to be, valuable and cathartic, like video games or, eating ice cream or, whatever else it is that you folks do, or really what I do is because I'm talking about myself. Not the same thing can be said, however, about social media. I think as I've gotten older, it's kind of replaced my digital diet, as it were, in the junction of something that is negatively addictive. I can tell you right now in full confidence that Instagram Reels is like the crack cocaine of media in my life right now. I have to keep on deleting that app and re-downloading that app and deleting the app and re-downloading it because it's so difficult to manage my life when I have full access to it all the time. That's another thing about being an adult. Being self-responsible, as difficult as it is, actually legitimately yields positive results no matter what you're responsible about. That's something that I didn't understand as a kid that I understand now. Responsibility isn't necessarily a burden on your shoulders as much as it is something that you choose so that you can gain from it in the most efficient way possible. Part of the reason that social media is so addictive is because there's so many things, so many facets of human psychology it can take advantage of. Like, I'm sure someone's feed out there on Instagram Reels is literally just gooner content 24/7. And for another person, it might be, their obsession with Warhammer 40K figurines. Or somebody, trying to keep up with, their friends and their family. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call that necessarily addictive, but, trying to stay relevant among the people that know you. Or really just see the number go up when you're an actual legitimate content creator on the platform itself. In a lot of these ways, people on both sides of the equation, the content creator and the content consumer, have their identities irreparably altered, and their minds changed from being capable of understanding things at length to, in a societal capacity, becoming less and less capable of concentrating on any given task for an extended period of time. Is that point right there, is that worth the money that you get from it? As like, not even just as a content creator, not just that person, but the person who owns the company, the shareholders who put their money into it to get money out of it. Is it worth compromising the functionality of a society for your own financial gain? I think maybe not. I think that's probably a bad idea. Social media can be used for good, though, especially when it comes to changing, I guess, society at large's mind about certain things that they've stigmatized in the past. Guys, guess what? I've got a date with a girl. For context, I've been on, I think less than 10 dates with a girl ever. So this might go poorly just because of my inexperience, so we'll see what happens. But this would be the first date I've ever gone on that is at a bar with drinks. Although I'm curious what she will think of me when I tell her that I just don't drink at all. Because I don't. And, you know, I've got a couple of personal reasons for that, you know, beyond what I'm about to tell you. But one of the reasons why I don't drink is because my grandfather on my mother's side, he was an alcoholic, or at least he was a functional alcoholic. He was actually a pretty successful guy and was pretty handy. He worked on aircraft and he owned a lot of land and worked with horses a lot, but he just couldn't stop drinking. And that was, you know, part of the reason why he died. He got pancreatic cancer somewhere around his 60s, and I don't know if my mom knows this, but my grandmother definitely doesn't know this. He kept on drinking until the very week that he died. Now, I would tell you that I'm kind of scared of the genetic component of that, you know, if I'm genetically predisposed to getting addicted to alcohol. But based on some of the experiences that I've heard my mother go through because of her dad's drinking problems, I don't think I even want to risk doing that ever. Anyways, I'll let you guys know how it goes, but hopefully it goes well. Dude, The Dark Knight is just such a good film. Every time I watch it, which is, you know, every couple of years, it just keeps on getting more understandable, and because of that, it just keeps getting better. It just weaves in and out of itself so well. Why so serious? It's really sad, though, that Jared Leto, I mean, I know you all wish it was Jared Leto. Heath Ledger, man, what a great performance. It really is that much more tragic when you realize that, practically speaking, the role killed him. And also, it's really inspiring that Chris Nolan attempted to try to make people understand the concept behind the completely unreasonable man. You know, the kind that want to watch the world burn, as Alfred puts it. And most people, they don't really want to go out of their way to understand people like that who don't really have it all figured out but pretend to, or don't have it all figured out and don't even try to pretend to. I actually did a sketch a while ago where I tried to do like a brain rot version of the interrogation scene from The Dark Knight, and weirdly it got copyright striked. I was under the assumption that, you know, like dubbing it myself was transformative enough of content, but apparently not. Great scene though, just great scene overall. I'll see if I can overlay a little bit of what I made so long ago.
Good gamer, bad gamer routine. Those Discord mods wanted you gone so that they could go back to the way things were. I don't want to cancel you. You know, for a while there, I thought you really were the baby. The way you turned yourself into a convertible.
It's pretty cringe though, so don't expect Oscar level acting. You know, sometimes I find it's kind of unfair that we as human beings don't have the natural ability to determine whether we ourselves are chopped. Like, I can clock whether somebody's a 5 or a 6 out of 10, honestly. And so can my friends, I think. But when it comes to me, myself, I think the only, you know, number that I can determine that I'm at is like about like a 5 out of 10. Of course, you know, face reveals later, but just thought I'd mention that. Oh, fuck! You know, they say that that attractiveness is a relative thing, but I'm inclined to disagree. Although, to like a certain scale, because like, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like maybe a 3 or a 4 out of 10 that at least one person in this world would think is a 10 out of 10. I think that is definitely possible, but I do think that in some way there is some level of objective meter as to the objective attractiveness of a human being. What's kind of unfortunate, though, about perceiving attraction is that the concept in and of itself is sort of like an emotionally charged thing. So there's no real way for people to come at it like completely objectively and robotically. But it does make me wonder if attempting to do that is even worth doing in the first place, because I know I've tried to be as robotic and objective as I possibly can when I'm talking about people being attractive. Sometimes that means that you've got to be, I guess, in the perception of others, an asshole. Well, I wouldn't say gotta be, but you might be perceived as an asshole by others because you're espousing like information that may be perceived as negative by the people around you on a frequent basis. But also, if you're going to be committed to making judgments about people's appearances, you've got to even out the amount of bad things that you say about somebody by saying just as many good things as well. Now, you can throw all of this out the window if you genuinely hate the person that you're critiquing. Also with the caveat that, they genuinely deserve to be called chopped. One might say that nobody deserves to be called chopped or considered ugly, and that it would be like really unfair and kind of problematic to do that. However, I pose to you this: a day may come in your life when you have trained your brain to be so inoffensive to people that when you have to genuinely tell somebody that you know to fuck off, you inherently, psychologically, fully ingrained are incapable of actually telling them how much you hate them. And I think that for everyone in this world, there will come a day when you both want to and will need to do that. Want to and need to, being separate cases, I reckon probably